have you had the experience when you finally met someone who wasn't toxic, who was emotionally available, and it was hard for you to develop feelings? Like, it might even get to the point where you notice that you're being so picky about this person's behaviors, where when you think about your ex, you remember that you used to tolerate so much more. Sometimes when you're with someone who's healthy after being in bad relationships with people who are not healthy, it can feel just plain wrong. So what is this? What is really going on here? That's what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm talking about what's happening in our minds, what's happening with our egos actually, when we go from bad relationships to trying to have a healthy relationship. There is a term that I realized encompassed everything about my experience when I was going from bad relationships to being with a healthy partner. I was having a lot of trouble figuring out my feelings, and I was getting really picky about my partner. Like, all these little things that he was doing, I was noticing, and I realized that this wasn't happening with my previous partners who were narcissistic and unavailable. And so I figured out this is what's going on. The term is called Ego Dystonic. So let me back up. What is the ego? The ego is the part of us that holds our wounds, our fears, our conditioning. Another word for it could be the wounded inner child. It's all the pain from your past, all your insecurities, all your conditioning, also all the things that your parents or society told you were good and bad. So that's what your ego is. It's basically all of this stuff that is on top of what we could call your true self, the part of you that is healed, unconditioned, whole. It's in there, but the ego is often on top of it. So just very generally, when we're talking about healing and breaking out of the ego, we're talking about this. We're talking about healing our inner child and breaking free from the ego and all of that conditioning. Now, our ego also holds our self-image. And that self-image could be largely positive, it could be largely negative, and it can also be a mix of both. For most people, it's a mixture of both. We see ourselves as good sometimes and not so good other times. So when we're talking about ego dystonic, we're talking about thoughts, behaviors, experiences that go against our self-image. Behaviors and feelings that are in conflict with who we believe we are. So if we have a self-image that's largely negative, like if we have a lot of parts of ourselves that believe that we're not good enough or that we don't deserve love, when we are confronted with a healthy person, someone who does love us, someone who thinks we're great, it can feel really uncomfortable. It can feel wrong. It can feel weird. It can also feel kind of repellent. I realized that this was happening to me early on in my dating experience with my current partner, my healthy partner, and I was still going through my healing journey. I was feeling this sense of him being not the right person, him being the wrong person, when all of my behaviors were actually saying something completely different. I really liked this person. I liked being around him. I wanted to be around him all the time. I always wanted to talk to him. I felt good and I felt secure with him. I felt loved and respected. What was happening is I was running up against my remaining self-image, which wasn't so positive. There were parts of me that didn't feel like I was good enough, that didn't feel like other people would love me. And so here comes this person who thinks I'm amazing and who loves me, and it just felt like it just didn't fit. Something felt off. And so what a lot of us can do, especially if we have a history of having anxiety, in particular relationship anxiety, is we can fixate on this wrong feeling and kind of take it out on our partners. Like, we can start to pick them apart and notice all the little things that are wrong so that we don't have to confront what's really going on within us, which is that we feel like there's something that's not right about this relationship. It's actually not our partner. Let me know in the comments if you guys have experienced this, if you've tried to be with healthy people and it's felt really off or wrong, and if it made you then question the relationship. So in the beginning, I did a lot of that. I really did question whether I was with the right person, what was going on. Maybe I needed to be with a different person. And it took me a while, but I did eventually realize that he was not the problem. It was me. It was my own inner stuff that I hadn't fully healed yet. So what do you do if you're in this situation where you're with somebody, you seem to really like them, but something's just feeling not right about it? Well, what I did was I worked really hard to rewire the subconscious stuff that was fueling this feeling of it being wrong or this ego dystonic experience. I rewired the negative beliefs I had about myself, and I also released the energies that were fueling those beliefs. And this is the work that I do now for my clients in my Living Free Finding Love program. So if you're interested in checking that out, I'm going to leave the link here in the description. So once I did that, I was then able to really open my heart to this person and start to develop some really strong feelings where I couldn't do that before because I was so focused on this feeling just so weird, so different, so uncomfortable even at times compared to what I was used to in the past. Because in the past, I was with people who didn't treat me well, who were unavailable, who were narcissistic, who were basically saying that, yeah, I wasn't good enough or I wasn't lovable. Now, maybe they weren't actually literally saying that, but their behavior said that to me. And in this weird way, that felt right. I didn't struggle with them. I didn't struggle with feeling like this was the wrong relationship. It made sense to me, consciously and also subconsciously. So once I rewired my beliefs and released the energies that were fueling those thoughts, I was then able to be with my current partner and dive deeper into the relationship. And now I'm really, really happy. And I don't feel that sense of it being off anymore. So basically what you're doing here is doing the healing work to go from an ego dystonic experience to an ego syntonic experience, the opposite. This is where you experience feelings, thoughts, and behaviors that are in agreement with your self-image. Like I shared with you guys in my story, when you're having that ego dystonic experience, it's very easy to get really critical with our partners and to be really nitpicky and harsh with them. The reason we're doing this is so that we can try to resolve this inner conflict that we're having. We don't like to have this off feeling or this uncomfortable feeling. So we're trying to get back to an ego syntonic experience. And we're trying to do so through being critical, but it doesn't work. What does work is to do that healing work so that you can let go of the past and let love in and have someone come towards you who is really loving and really caring. And it makes sense. It works with your self-image. You're saying, yes, of course, I am lovable. I am great. This makes perfect sense to me. I'm going to let this in. It's also true that sometimes you might be with someone and they're just not the right person. That does happen. But if you're with someone and you suspect, like maybe you have a feeling deep down that you do really like this person, there's maybe just some stuff in the way, then that's where the healing work is so important. Work with a professional to help you tease this out. This is also what I do with my clients. It's not so easy to figure this stuff out. So again, if you have an idea, if you have like just a slight feeling that this might be going on for you, reach out for help. You can contact me or any other professional that you feel drawn to. If you need a little bit more help trying to figure out whether you're with the right person or not, or to see if maybe you're settling, check out this video here.